Hello, I am Dr. Daniel and today I want to show you the world you are living in, but do not expect a paradise. I will take you to different stations of the world and show you what you did to them. We start at station number 1. Take off your jackets, this is going to be very hot. Forest fires are a huge threat for our ecosystem. Because of these, the living space of animals change permanently and it leads to species extinctions. Only a few are caused by natural causes, like storms or lightning strikes, but the majority is caused by humans. Because of the climate change, droughts can occur, which increases the risk of forest fires. Regular forest fires are threatening the existence of forest and are releasing toxic gases. Here you can see our second station, the destruction of the rainforest, which is also called deforestation. Did you know that around 300,000 square kilometers of rainforest are being cut down or burned every year? This mostly happens in tropical countries like Brazil, the Democratic Republic of Congo or Indonesia. But what are the reasons? First of all, state or private companies want to make money with the special and precious wood, and they also want to gain space in order to create big plantations, for example for bananas or coffee. Another reason is the exploitation of precious mineral resources like gold, oil or gas, as well as the construction of dams to generate energy. Of course, one of the main reasons is to use the wood of the extremely old trees for furniture made out of tropical wood and also the production of paper. But what kind of consequences do we face because of deforestation? Well, there are multiple consequences, for example for the water cycle. The function of the so-called little water cycle decreases because there is no dense vegetation cover to absorb the water, which also causes a reduction of biodiversity because plants with high water requirements don't receive enough. The groundwater level will also drop due to the lack of vegetation, which leads to the soil drying up. Due to the lack of vegetation cover, the rain falls directly on the ground, so it cannot be absorbed as quickly. This can lead to the soil starting to swim and the nutrients are being washed away completely. Of course, the biodiversity is being influenced a lot by the destruction of the rainforest. Due to all of these processes, there are increasingly less animal and plant species in the rainforest because they lose their living space, which leads to them dying out completely at some point. Not only are there consequences for the environment and animals, but also for us humans. Indigenous people are often employed as workers on plantations with extremely low wages, which are not enough for them to survive, so their standard of living heavily decreases. As you can see, there are a lot of problems created by humans because of the destruction of the rainforest, and not only that, there are still way more unknown consequences for the overall climate on our planet. But let's go on. The next station is the intensive livestock farming. Do you know that eating meat and animal products in general has a negative impact on the environment and on the climate change? There are large amounts of slurry which accumulate in a small area, which can cause that plants can no longer absorb the fertilizer. The slurry can seep into the groundwater and thus end up in drinking water. Moreover, animal husbandry is responsible for almost 95% of all ammonia emissions. Meat, milk, and egg production are major causes of the human-induced climate change. More than 85% of the agricultural land is used for animal husbandry and animal feed, and a lot of land has to be deforested. In addition to providing feed and water, additional resources are needed for the transport and generation of electricity, which is a waste of resources. Environmental pollution happens when people don't dispose their garbage properly, but leave it in the environment. Exhaust fumes from cars and heating systems pollute the environment. There is environmental pollution of the big kind since industrialization. Because of that, many toxins have found their way into the water. Industrialization also polluted the air. The consequences of this are the deaths of many forests. Chemists also discovered that there is not only plastic in big pieces, but also microplastic. This microplastic is now spread all over the world. But how exactly is the environment polluted? Waste can be eaten unconsciously by animals. This makes them sick and cause them to die. In addition, toxic substances can enter the environment when waste decomposes. Animals that live in the sea can also fall ill or die due to the pollution of the seas. There is also invisible pollution of the environment. Exhaust gases from cars and factories make the air we breathe very bad, and that can also have health consequences for us humans. Let's move on to the next station, which is global warming. There are two types of consequences. The first consequences are the direct consequences of human-induced climate change. Those include the rising maximum and minimum temperatures, as well as rising sea levels and higher sea temperatures. Heavy rainfall such as heavy rain and hail is increasing, and there is also an increase in the proportion of severe tropical cyclones and in droughts. In addition to that, there is a glacier decline and retreat and thawing permafrost. 2. The second type of consequences are the consequences of climate change that affect us human beings and our environmental, which include the increasing famine and water crisis, particularly in developing countries. The climate change causes threats to livelihoods from floods and forest fires, and also health crises due to the increased frequency and intensity of heat extremes. There are economic consequences for eliminating the consequences of climate change and further crime, pests and pathogens. Another consequence is the loss of biodiversity due to a limited adaptability and speed of flora and fauna, and the ocean acidification due to increased CO2 concentrations. I assume you have seen enough by now, but this is the truth. Of course, I do not just want to show you what you did to this world, but how we can prevent something like this. Come to my office. It only takes a few clicks and you will find all the solutions we need. First of all, you can reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Of course, it is up to the government to ensure that corporations stop emitting harmful greenhouse gases, and arguably to do this is to implement a carbon tax. By putting a direct price on greenhouse gas emissions, these activities and products become more expensive. Businesses will incentivize to lower emissions through cleaner fuels. Another thing you can do is to go on plant-based diet. The global production of food is responsible for releasing 30% of greenhouse gases, and a massive part of this is raising animals for meat. Switching to a plant-based diet is one of the more easily achievable climate change solutions, and it will also reduce deforestation. Roughly 1/3 of the food produced, which is 1.3 billion tons, is wasted or lost. This is enough to feed 3 billion people, and water which was used to produce the food could be used by 9 billion people. It is important to educate people how they unknowingly contribute to food waste. By supporting small and local farmers, you can reduce food waste. Another solution is the reduce of single-use plastics. That means avoiding plastic straws, using reusable packagings, and of course recycling everything possible, as well as making sure your clothing is made of natural fibers like cotton. Let's move on to more solutions, which could help our environment. Furthermore, the investment in renewable and clean energies. Instead of using fossil fuels to generate energy, transition to clean energy like wind or solar power. It's already way cheaper and one of the most effective climate change solutions we have, and it also creates more jobs in developed and developing countries. The last solution is to put more effort into wildlife conservation. Heavier penalties for hunting protected animals should be implemented and strictly enforced. Now you know on the one hand the huge problems we caused, but on the other hand also the solutions. So, use your voice and pay attention to Article 1. Environment. Everyone has the right to live in an environment that is healthy and protected.